Welcome to AFL Uncensored. I'm your host, Tej Johannesson, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Omari Fraser. Before we get going, I do want to make a shout out to our sponsors, Downey Warwick and Warwick Grain Carriers, for really helping us keep this podcast alive, and then to a couple people who have made donations without need for sponsorship, and Travis Savitsky and Jeff Rambo, head coach of the Bucks. Travis Savitsky, longtime player. So thank you to you guys. The podcast has a goal to try to get funded throughout next season. So we're still looking for sponsors or donations. If if this podcast means something to you, if you enjoy it, we'd appreciate any sort of donation or sponsorship to help us be able to continue this podcast throughout the year and into next year as well. We took a week off last week. Omari, you had a baby. Congratulations, my man. That sounds, nothing really better in the world, I can imagine. And now you're dealing with being a new dad and still doing all this stuff. So congratulations on that, man. How you been with it?
I feeling pretty good. It's if you want to talk about timing for the baby, definitely came in the right week on a week bye. So it's awesome to see that. Because originally he was supposed to come the week of us playing the Irish, but then my girlfriend's water broke early, and ended up pushing the schedule up ahead. But talk about a week to have it where I was able to just move things to work, eat for my girlfriend, everything, and welcome our son. So
that's the football god. The football god's working in your favor. That's amazing.
Yeah. So it's awesome to do that. I know we have a few other new dads here in the league, like myself and Javardo from Irish, like new dads and everything. And it's awesome to, as I say, it's awesome to be, have a group of guys you're in this new chapter with, and yet it's your own chapter, but know you're not alone, and that's exciting to be and do. So
I saw that Vardo had a baby too. So congrats, Vardo. Vardo, teammate of both Omari's and I last year, a really good guy, good receiver. So congratulations on that, Vardo. That's pretty cool. You get that extra dad strength, so you'll be able to test that out tomorrow, see if it's true.
Yeah. I'm hoping I get some sleep tonight. That's the goal I need. I'm goals to get at least 6+7 hours of sleep tonight. Might be a bit away, but I'll be feeling fresher tomorrow. I got my coconut water here ready to go.
Hell yeah. Staying hydrated early. That's the key. All right, we'll recap week 4, which was 2 weeks ago now. We'll get into this week. We'll talk about kind of where we are at in the season. We're kind of halfway through. We'll talk about standings, playoff implications, possible playoff matchups. I've got the combined league stats, which are still posted nowhere because the league doesn't have a functioning website, but we have them here on AFL Uncensored. So we'll talk about the stat leaders up to this point, and possibly some other cool stuff. There's some cool stories along the line, some good drama, and some good rivalries that are building in the league. So we'll get into our week 4 recaps. So we'll start with, because I think we'll talk about our matchup second, but we'll start with the Jets facing Edmonton. Now, there's been some slightly interesting stuff that has come out of this game. This is a rivalry. These two teams do not like each other. That's just plain and simple. I know that from talking to the guys on the team. I know that from spending a little bit of time in Edmonton last year. There's definitely some spite and some animosity between the leadership of Edmonton and the Jets as a whole. The game was pretty Jets dominated. I apparently, some Edmonton guys obviously say it was closer than the score, which I think is what everyone always says. And sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not. Watching the game, I think, Edmonton actually had a lead, 7-6 at one point. But you could kind of see Edmonton almost deflate near the end. It was getting really chippy. There was guys being tossed out of the game. There was a hit by Teague Sherman that was, in my opinion, a nothing hit that got blown up, and he got booted from the game for it. He was basically standing still while another guy basically ran into him, and Teague's just, bigger and stronger and knocked him over, and it looked aggressive, but it really wasn't. But I think watching the game, it was a pretty Jets dominated. Edmonton has a long way to go still. It's, Mitchell's doing his best back there, but he hasn't played quarterback for a while. The weapons aren't, I think, as elite as some other teams as far as receivers. I would say Edmonton's receivers are they're below the Bucks, they're below the Jets, they're probably below the Irish, they're probably below the Wolfpack. And the Wolfpack have Suretsky doing a lot of damage down there and a good quarterback. So that passing game for the Jet or for Edmonton is just it's not good enough to be near the top of the league right now. And that's a mixture of things. There's some line issues, there's some receiver issues, and Mitchell just kind of getting used to it. What were your kind of thoughts on? You probably haven't had a whole lot of time to watch stuff with your life, but if you did watch any, what were your thoughts of that game and kind of the physical kind of controversies that came through it that you've seen?
I was able to watch film. That was one thing where in between I guess when my girlfriend was taking it, I actually was able to watch film at the hospital, so I did watch a bit. It looked tight in the first couple plays. I think it was up to play 60, I believe. Things were quite tight, or like at least the first quarter of everything, and it just like things are like the Jets just started to get rolling, and their Jets defense just looked like they were suffocating everything. But then there were always a handful of plays that the Elite made that again I took down like note of, or like, okay, let's watch out for this for our team here. But they made some great pop plays where they got over the middle. They I don't want to say they exposed Cold Lake, but they showed that you can still attack Cold Lake. But one thing that Cold Lake did a good job of was just bend, don't break. And I know the score is a score, but that was something now where they showed there's hot flashes in the pan. I would say effectively, like just unbiased and everything. And it was just something now where I guess the Jets just showed how suffocating they could be, if I had to be honest. But
yeah, I think that's a good description. I think when I saw the first Edmonton touchdown, which was a pass to the strong side of the field, it looked like Cold Lake's corner Gabe, who's been on the podcast, I think they might have been in cut. It's hard to tell with a corner like Gabe. Good corners, you can't actually tell if they're playing cut or if they're playing hold. I refer to cut as corner short and hold as corner deep when you're talking about cover three. Some people have different terms for it, but it looked like it might have been cut, and it looked like Gabe tried to jump the short route, and then the halfback didn't get the depth probably needed, and they got a touchdown over that. And I was like, well, that's a problem in a secondary, right? If you're this far into the season, that the Jets have already played 4 games, and you make a coverage mistake like that, if it was hold and Gabe was supposed to be deep there, that's a problem. He's got to know better not to come up on that. But I believe that it was a cut play and it was a miscommunication or something happened and they scored a touchdown. And regardless of that, those are stuff that can happen in tight games. And so it was, you're right, there was a little bit of weakness shown to the Jets, but then their overall, I wouldn't say bend not break. I hate that kind of term. I don't think they're a bend not break. I think they made some mistakes, and then I think they kind of showed that it's hard to consistently maintain drives against the Jets defense, especially as the game moves forward. And I think, like you said, they just kind of eventually take it over. Edmonton's defense is good too, but Cold Lake, just the field position and the way they can run the ball, and Edmonton really couldn't run the ball. So I liked what Edmonton did. It was the first time that I've seen them under Steve Stuber, their head coach and OC last year. First time I've really seen them utilize motion a lot, and I think that not enough teams do that, like utilizing the motion. Cold Lake does a really good job of utilizing their motions.
Yeah. And number 10 does a good job of that.
Yeah, and all it is like it's all smoke and mirrors, right? So when Cold Lake does it, they are motioning their trips guy back into the backfield and essentially just going back to 22. It looks like they're running some sort of slot counters or slot dives, but the reality is they're in 32 and then they motion back into 22, and it's all smoke and mirrors to confuse people. What I just try to tell any defense that I'm running, or if from in my high school team, like when you see that stuff, it's just stop freaking out. Don't worry about it. Now it's just 22 and they're going to run their normal stuff. And if you actually watch what Cold Lake does, they just run 22 runs, but they do it by motioning the trips guy back into the backfield, number 10 there, and kind of moving them all over the place. So teams have to stay true to that, but it does mess teams up. And so Edmonton did a good job of utilizing the motion. And I think that maybe caught Cold Lake off guard a little bit lazy in their drops, and there was definitely a lot of holes in some of their zones. So something that can be exploited. I think we'll talk on Elite versus you guys tomorrow, but I think that'll be a good game. So I agree with you mostly on that. I'm glad the Jets won just for standings purposes for the Bucks. Like, I'm cheering for the Jets to win every game here on out because that helps the Bucks hopefully try to host a playoff game. Moving into go ahead.
Well, one thing I wanted to add to with Cold Lake, and I think everyone in the league is like watching for like a weakness, and I don't think the game when the Edmonton shows any weakness. If anything, it's more of like a, I don't know, call it mental lapse, whatever it is. And I feel like they're a team now where they have the experience to correct it and move forward, not dwell on things. So it's something as, again, Cold Lake brings to that side where I think they'll move forward from it. But us as other teams that are like always working towards beating them, we're always looking at it, overanalyzing, and seeing like, okay, like what can we do? What can we exploit? And so every week I feel like this is like something that every team tries to do. And if I have to add one point, I know with when I look at like how offenses will match up against the Cold Lake defense, because they're right now they're the standard. I look at it and see like, okay, like what team can like, again, like have the guys, have also the scheme, but like, have a game plan in. And if I'm going to be honest, I'm looking forward to seeing the Bucks versus the Jets and have your guys' offense just coming off of our game. But just, I feel like you guys are very open to bringing ideas and schemes in to where you can, attack a defense. And so I think schematically it's going to be interesting to see what you guys can do. And, for that, but I know it's always so interesting to see a top tier defense make a few mistakes and then how they respond, and all the whole league just scowls or surrounds and watches film and everything.
Well, and from my perspective, Cold Lake has had the same problems with their defense as far as what they're leaving open, but teams haven't really attacked it. I think that Grand Prairie actually did a decent job of attacking some of the seams against Cold Lake, which seem to be open frequently against them, the way that they play their coverages, but they are tough passes to create. So every defense is going to give you something that's kind of open, and then it's up to teams to take advantage of that. As far as us versus them, so basically our team was supposed to be run by Brandon Lay, and he was going to be obviously the quarterback and basically the OC. He obviously is not there anymore. And so we were going to have Dan Johnson was going to be the OC, but he's just getting into a new job. So I've been basically taking over the play designs and designing our offense throughout the last probably month or so. And it's exactly that. Like every week I'm adding something different that I think is going to be good against certain teams. So I've been, I've been designing and adding different sets. So we kind of started a lot doing split back and running with our big running back. And then once I kind of was asked to kind of take over like designing the offense, I kind of switched some things up and put our more speed guy at tail and had our big guy play more fullback, was still getting about 10 carries a game. And now we've run the ball for 500 yards in the last 2 games with a rookie running back who's 19 years old. And one of the kids I've coached since he was, 12 years old. And now he's, lighting up the AFL right now. Gavin Halverson sitting at second in the league in rushing. And he's only played 2 full games, 58 carries, 413 yards. And those 58 carries and 413 yards are in 2 games. So that's insane. We have an amazing offensive line, which makes, designing an offense really easy. And let's move into our game, Bucks versus Pack. I was surprised because you guys came out in a 4-2 with 2 safeties. And I was shocked, to be honest, when I saw that look, because we had just run the ball 40 times against Edmonton for 250 yards between our 2 running backs. So I don't know who's coaching your defense, but when you showed up with a 4-2 and 2 safeties, and I get it, you've got Xavier and I on the field, you're worried about the deep pass. we ran for 320 yards against you guys. And, it was partly scheme, but partly the fact that you guys had 6 men in the box. So I don't know what the fuck was going on down there, Omari, but that wasn't a great defensive plan after watching us run 40 times for 250 against Edmonton. So it kind of made us look probably better than we are when you're running against a 6-man box all game. I think eventually you guys adjusted and then kind of tried to help take it away. But against the Jets, it's going to be we're not planning on running the ball 40 times because they're going to have a different front and they can play that. But we'll make some changes. We'll be a little bit different this week against Grand Prairie, and we're going to add some different concepts this week, and then we'll add some different concepts the next week, and we're just constantly building. Our game was crazy because I think people thought that it was going to be close. I know I thought it was going to be close. I knew it was going to be close, and Daryl came out on the first drive, and you guys marched it down the field, and he hit Soretsky for a touchdown pass, and then I think we scored on the next one, and then he came down again and hit Soretsky for another one. And that one was annoying and I was telling you this before the show, but I knew, obviously I played in that offense last year. I know what Daryl likes in the red zone. I know he loves 83 with the threes being short, running that 8 route with a 5-yard 3 underneath it. It gives him the options to pick. He loves throwing that 8 route. Last year it was to me, this year it's to Soretsky. I knew it was coming, told the safety it was coming. Safety decided not to listen. You guys got a touchdown. And I'm really glad I wasn't mic'd up because that might have been one of the most angry I've ever been at my own teammates in a football game. And here's a side note too. I've realized that, and maybe I realized this a long time ago, but I'm a pretty easy guy to get along with. I'm pretty nice. But when I play football, honestly, I'm definitely too much of a dick, but I can't even help it. I just get, especially like playing with grown men, my patience becomes zero. And I wish it wasn't that way. Like, I honestly am trying really hard to I guess be nicer on the field, but I'm so, and you probably get this, right? It's just, there's a switch that flips in me. And when I'm coaching, I'm not like this. I'm actually extremely patient with mistakes when you're coaching. And I think that's the way it should be. You're coaching kids. But when I get to playing with my peers, it's just gone. It's no filter. It's gone. I am definitely probably overboard being a dick. I have no patience and I'm working on that. But this particular situation really irked me because I had told him what was going to go on. And Daryl, by the way, leading the league in passing right now, which is insane. 51 of 97, 52%, 659 yards, 8 touchdowns, 6 picks. 50 years old, something like that. I don't even know. And leading the league in passing, which is phenomenal. Soretsky having a wonderful season. If I'm any team playing the Wolfpack, I'm focusing obviously on him, and then hopefully your other weapons, don't make plays. What was your thought process of the game? I know it ended up being an 18-point game. I do believe this game was closer than the score. We kind of scored a garbage time touchdown at the end. You guys were leading at half. We made some adjustments and took away Alex in the second half, which you guys have to be able to adjust to that because, as you probably know, teams are going to start just doubling him and taking him away. So what was your thought of it from that sideline? What was your kind of thought process during halftime? What's your thought process after the game? I know you guys probably still have to feel pretty good. You were missing Skyler, who was probably one of the best linebackers in the league, I believe, right? Yeah, I don't think he was there, which didn't help, obviously, with the run situation. I think you were missing some key guys. So what was your overall mindset with the game?
It was we liked the start, but we came out and marched the ball. Wolfpack, we feel very confident knowing that we can run, pass the ball down anybody. I think passing is definitely our forte with Daryl. Running is not our strongest suit right now, but when you have Daryl, he can make up for that. But we felt quite confident with that. If anything, it was specials that killed us. I think we lost that game. That 18-point deficit was, you guys gained it. We lost it through specials, where the amount of times that we got caught with 11 guys, 14 guys, 13 guys, just with guys not knowing where we were. And, we had a nice, team meeting with that after and discussed that out. And we're going to fix that here ideally for tomorrow. But we gave that away. I think I know we had a punt where we actually got the ball from the returner, but it got overturned because we had 14 guys on the field. And I'm almost sitting there being like, oh man, how did this, and again, as a captain, I'll take responsibility there for not, counting up or keeping guys accountable. And that's just something now that can happen. I felt like the amount of special teams mistakes just compound on itself to where then, we'd kick to you guys and then no, you guys would be on our 40, on our 30. And it's how can you stop how can you stop a high powered running offense, passing offense that they start on the 30, give them 3 plays, they can chunk it down. There's a lot to do there. So I felt that was one thing that we definitely just, I think, handed to you guys. But offensively, I felt like we matched up with you guys quite well. Like offense, defense. Oh, I guess Colts O, Redbucks D. We felt that was pretty good. We knew it was going to be a battle with your guys' O, just with, you could attack a run or pass. So I feel we just felt like offensively, we just had to make sure we kept the charge going, which we did the first half, but sort of at the second. And, it was one day away. But we do feel very confident going into where, say, playoffs happen, when playoffs come around, and depending on how the alignment goes on the standings. If we end up coming to you guys here, ideally we feel very confident going in. I'm sure that's a game where you guys be like, hey, you know what? They move the ball well. It's not a game just to take off and relax.
No, definitely not. And that actually, we'll go over playoff scenarios here shortly, but that is a high possibility that we play each other in the first round. I did notice during the game, and I said a couple times, I think I don't know what your running back's experience is, but he had some good runs. Your O-line made some good holes. Like, we have a pretty good D-line here in Red Deer, and you guys did manage to get some good runs on us. I think we stuffed your one screen pass you tried, and then you didn't try that again. But it's from our perspective, it's I think we were pretty upset at halftime. We did, because the game was so close. I think in general, a lot of the league, it's not me. I mean, I've picked the Wolfpack to win every game except last week. But most of the league pretty much gave up on the Pack. And I said, like, look, it's a silly thing to do. It doesn't matter like how old Daryl is. It doesn't. You've got weapons on that team. You've got guys that can play defense. You've got guys that can move the ball and catch the ball on offense. You guys are going to be a problem in a league where consistency and smarts and IQ matters. And that's all Daryl needs. Like, Daryl runs concepts that he understands. He's been running them for 20 years. He knows what he's looking for. There was one time where they ran the 83 concept, which he loves. And I knew he was going to run an 83 concept. So I told my corner, I'm like, we played pretty much man most of the game. And I said, we're going to switch on 83. And so we did switch, and Daryl looked at the 8. He recognized switch in me. I made eye contact with him. I saw him recognize the switch, and then he threw it underneath to the 3. Our halfback was a little bit, just kind of made a little bit of a over pursuit kind of play on the ball. Not his fault at all. Just Daryl made a really good throw to pin that into the 3. And that's just, there's not a lot you can do about that when he knows one of those routes is going to come open. It's tough to cover both those routes, especially if most teams are playing zone. Now, we were playing man for exactly that, because we know Daryl likes to run those 21s, those 83s, those high-low concepts or crossing pick concepts. So I personally like playing man in those because it's just easier to understand who you have. But even in that situation, he's still making the good reads. And you guys being, we were pretty much full strength. You guys were a little bit shorthanded. If I'm you guys, I have a lot of confidence, and I'll tell you right now, if I'm us and the Bucks, it's like, okay, we did a good job in the second half, coming back from kind of a lackluster first half, because maybe we underestimated you guys a little bit. But I know we won't be making that mistake again going this week to Grand Prairie. You guys beat Grand Prairie pretty good, but they traveled to you. We're traveling to a fresh Grand Prairie. So these are just lessons teams have to, and, even we talk about special teams in football probably too much, right? Everyone's always like, oh, specials is a third of the game. And what I mean by too much is we talk about it so much, but people don't take it seriously. And the reality is when you play in a league like the AFL this year, where I think besides the Jets, every other team could beat every other team on any given day. Like, I fully believe you guys can beat Edmonton tomorrow. I fully believe you guys can beat Airdrie, and I fully believe they could beat you guys. And we've proven we could have beaten Airdrie. We did beat Edmonton. So this league is close, and you guys could have easily won last week. Besides the Jets, all the other teams are very close. And so special teams matters, and field position matters, and time of possession matters. And people forget about these things because we talk, even though we talk about them so much, but it's almost like they get watered down. And people are like, oh, here's the conversation about specials again. Yeah. Specials is a third of the game. This is they can win or lose you games, special teams and field position every single time.
Absolutely. And that's what killed us. So it's a third of the game, but you know, you have to respect it. Like the game can't start without it. You can't start without a kickoff. I see, you know, I want to watch a film. I'm just looking for guys blocking punts. Like I'm looking at the block kicks area, and I know there's been more pressure on trying to get pressure on the punter. Like Teague Sherman from Jets, like he always lines up on the line on the edge, and he's making an attempt on the ball. And those kind of plays, you know, just the amount of reps when you go after it is huge. I see Ethan Nicholas here again, blocked punt. So you know that's one thing I'm gonna definitely watch out for him just to see him here. But you can't play like I want to add this to it. Like, you know, do you find players like I know a lot of players don't like specials. I think this is a whole thing where like in the league, where like guys are like, like take me off specials. Like I'm sure every team has those guys that are like, like I don't want to play specials. I don't like just give me off. I'm just here for defense or offense, and that's it. But you know, I when I look at my background in football and like coming up and like how really specials really helped me develop, I have a huge respect for specials where, you know, it's a game changing play type where you can, you know, get the ball back for your team and we're continuing our drive down. Like I feel like it's so important, but I know there's some guys that don't like, I guess, to be on it.
Well, I told the story at practice yesterday because our frustration with specials, and I think a lot of teams have this too, is guys not knowing that they're on a specials. You know, we posted up in the locker room 3 hours before the game. Please look at it. Know when you're on it. Know when you're on. Take pride in it. And of course, as with most teams, we're out there and there's only 11 on field goal. There's 15 on kickoff. And you're like, what the fuck is happening, guys? These were posted in the room for 3 hours. Let's pay attention. And I made the point because we've got a guy who's our starting Sam linebacker now. His name is Ethan Mackey, another one of the kids who I've coached. I haven't coached him for as long, but coached him, I think, in his grade 12 year. And I actually met him at Slow Pitch earlier this year. And I said, you need to come play football again. And he's a personal trainer now. He's put on a lot of muscle, strong kid. And he wasn't starting at Sam, but he was on special teams, and he was just blowing people up on special teams. And I don't actually mean like blowing people up, but I mean like he was busting his ass down the field. He stood out. When I watched the film, he came alive on the screen. It's like, that's a dude who wants to be here. That's a dude who I can rock with. That's a dude who I want on the defense. He deserves to be there. And that is the reason why he is now starting at Sam Backer. And he's never going to not start at Sam Backer for us this year because he's been dominant there as well. And honestly, he probably doesn't get that opportunity if he's not showing out on specials. And I say that for all, and to give love to all the guys out there that, you know, are rocking out on specials. And even if you're not on defense or offense, like guys like me and guys that respect the league and respect the game, respect dudes who ball out on specials and put their body on the line, because let's be real, it's not like glory. It's not a lot of fun. You're getting hit every single play. It's probably one of the most physical times in football with guys full speed runs and all that stuff. So yeah, important. And all teams need to kind of remember that moving forward. Anything else on those last week's games before we move on to the preview of this week?
I do want to plug just for like, before, like, one thing, I think we're in the midpoint of the season, and like just one thing that I'm seeing, and I know it's in the nature of our game, but I know there's been a few injuries that have happened just with just in the league. I know there's like guys in Edmonton. I know one of our guys went down, this and that, like broken this, broken that. Like, you know, I know our game is high intense in that way, and you know, with what I do for work, for those who don't know, I'm a financial advisor and a realtor outside of football. But I know, like I see guys getting hurt and going down, and it's tough to see because I'm in an area where, you know, I can't help get stuff in place, and I talk about it, like I hope there's guys can look at getting disability insurance in place, because it's always tough. I always see it's like, damn, it's tough because hearing a player, they broke their arm, man, it's tough that, you know, they got to take time off work and not have their income, or like they suffer because of their income because they're playing this league. And I know we all sacrifice at some point, but it's nice to mitigate those risks with having a policy in place. And all I want to say is for guys, like if you're someone who is, I want to look at getting something in place or getting some coverage and stuff, like it definitely helps because it's nice to know that, hey, the ambulance will be covered. Oh, if I break something, like I have some money coming in. If I have a tear or this or that, or I need to take some time away from work, I'm covered. Because the outside of football stuff always tough. And I know there was a GoFundMe for one of the players, and from on my perspective, it was tough to see that being like, man, if that person, if he had a policy in place, it's nice to be able to say, hey, here's some money, here's everything covered, your rehab's covered, your this, or that, you're good to go. And it's a lot nicer transition there, I guess. But just want to encourage everyone, like if you're someone who is, either your workplace doesn't have disability and you're looking for it, feel free to reach out. We can have a conversation on that and at least start that process there for you. So then you can run around the field and, feel confident that, hey, if anything happens, you're good to go. Cause I have approached teams with it. Like I met with some boards and everything and said, hey, this is what I do. This is what I can offer. At least give you guys comfort there. But I at least want to, I don't like bringing it up in football because I like to keep football, my football space and my workspace separate. But I do feel this is a place now where it can come together and is something that can, benefit guys and help to relieve stress when those days come. But just because I've seen some injuries and go from there. But at least if guys need any more information on that, just feel free to reach out or DM me and just know that, I'm there to help. I want to help players and go from there.
Yeah, I will. I will definitely be reaching out myself. I would love to get in on that. There was a group, one of my, maybe like my third or fourth year on the Bucks, there was a guy that came to our practice and offered that type of insurance. And then one of our guys, named Leighton, actually got hurt and then missed the whole season and then got this insurance payout. And it was a lot. And it was, I was like, well, damn, that's pretty cool. It was near the end of the season. And then they ended up going somewhere or not being involved or something like that. But I'm definitely going to reach out to Amari. And yeah, this is something that I think, and I believe it's not very expensive. Like I think it's really affordable for people.
It's based off your income too. Like if you make a lot of money, it's like it portions off your income. So like whatever you make, it goes off that. And right. I know in 2019 that was a big thing that I pushed. And like I think a guy broke his finger and he got $1,000 for his finger, which I mean, like, is his finger in there? But it's nice to know that worry, that risk is off your mind and you can ball all out. So awesome.
Now here's the question though. Does it incentivize dudes to like play harder, knowing that if they get hurt, they get $1,000 to break a finger? Will guys on purposely break fingers to get $1,000? Because that's a good question. Are you willing to break your finger for $1,000? I don't know. Some people are pretty desperate. Who knows? But
you never know.
Guys,
hopefully there's no collusion here. I don't want my compliance department to be like, yeah, we heard you on a podcast and you guys are including the breaking fingers and put their hands.
No, don't do that, everybody. Do not break your finger for $1,000. Okay, there are better ways to get money. OnlyFans, all foot pics, all that stuff. You guys, there are lots of ways to get it. Yeah. So yeah, if you need that, if you're looking into insurance, yeah, that's awesome, Amari. Thanks for letting us know that. Okay, moving on to this week's Gamescade. I want to start with the little Calgary Day in Football thing you guys got going on. So I'll kind of let you take this away, Amari. I know you've got a lot of things you want to go on with this. Really cool. Irish are playing the Jets first and then the Pack in Edmonton. So what's going on in Edmonton? Let people know kind of the festivities that you guys are bringing about that day.
So I don't know if we're bringing any festivities, but I just know I was looking at our schedule because I know Irish posted, game's going to be at 2 p.m. at Shoaldice. And I was like, like we also have a game at Shoaldice. And I looked at the schedule and I'm like, oh shit, like I guess the schedules have aligned to where like there's going to be 2 games happening at Shoaldice on the same day, so 4 AFL teams at one location playing football, which obviously is sick. It's unfortunate that I just like, I guess I say myself, but as well like everyone else, like we just caught this week and it's tough because I'm like, damn, if we had, let's just say, more prep time, this would have been such an easy way just to get more attention, get the news involved, get proper media coverage. I think I mentioned this to Kurt Howland, and he's like, yeah, I'll definitely be there because for him now, like, I look at Kurt, like he's been awesome going to one games, and like he'll go to Irish games and this and that. But it's nice to where like, hey, like I can go to this one field, see 4 teams, to get a bunch of content. We've now put that on the Facebook page, YouTube, the Instagram. Teams can do that and have a big blast on it. And like this is such a positive environment. It'd be interesting. I think the Irish are going to do like a halftime kicking contest, which is pretty cool.
I saw that fans can pay like $5 or $10 to kick field goals to win some swag or something. That's a cool idea. I like that.
Yeah, very, very cool idea. I like that. I think it's one thing I haven't had a chance to do it yet because it's tough to do all. I'm at my capacity, adding on my son and everything I'm doing else. But I was like, it'd be cool to like have a restaurant, be like, hey, like we got 4 AFL teams coming to town. Is there a restaurant that can, host us, or if we come by, 25, 10, whatever % off?
Yeah,
that'd be so cool to set up. But it's a unique idea to where maybe in future seasons, does the league look at saying, hey, we're actually going to have maybe try and do a media day, AFL day, where we're going to try and play 2 games, 4 teams coming in. Yes, there's 1 home team and 3 teams have to travel, but I guess in the case of Airdrie, it's not really like an away game for them. Like it's 10-minute drive into the city, and like, it's not that bad, but that'd be a great way to where like I know we're trying to push this whole media and like, trying to bring the league up, and I think we could do a good showcase there by having 2 games very efficiently. Like you can do a lot of work in a short amount of time. So
I think that's I think the league needs to get on board with something like that, because it is unfortunate you just found out about that now, but that could be a really cool thing that could easily drive people to one area. And I'm glad Kurt's going to be there, kind of documenting all that. So it's cool that it worked out that way. Uncool that it kind of was not thought about by the league before that. Like we could do something with this, whatever it might be. I think it's good that Airdrie's not playing at their grass field, because I just don't like that field. So turf's just better. What are your early thoughts on Irish Jets this week?
I rematch and just talking with the guys that that are from Irish. They're all well rested. Like I think everyone's all well rested, which is nice because it's that's one of the beautiful things with our league and with the league model. I think now I'm interested to see how they're going to attack it, because when I look at the stats from the game, or from like how things are working, they're a heavy run team. Like they're a heavy run team, 3rd in the league in rushing, backed with a good community of backs, Marshall, Braxton, Tyler, and Josh too. He's up there in the rushing league. So I'm interested to see how they stick to that, or if they're going to commit more to the pass game. With it, I think this is a nice trade-off here to see, because I think a home and away rosters are very different. And I think it's a big deal break in our league, where, last week it was Cold Lake's home versus Airdrie's away, and here's going to switch. And I do feel like Jets, they travel really well. So I don't think it's going to be that much of a difference, but it'd be interesting to see like some of the key guys they ensure to bring and go from there. So I think that's going to be one thing there, but it'd be nice. I think it's one thing that'll be nice because it's on turf and it'll play out nice and even, and cool from there. But I think it'll be a closer game, because I think you've given both teams time to close games for teams to correct and make adjustments and expect some new things to be tried, new concepts. I think the team that took advantage of the bye week the most is going to get the W here. I don't know if I'm trying to think of how I want to call it, because I'll need some more time. I'll probably make my call at the end of the podcast, but it's going to be another good game of football. I think closer from Airdrie, because they've had time to prep, and then seeing how Cold Lake comes down and how many guys they bring down. So it's going to be another good game.
Yeah, I think with the Irish hosting the Jets, you're right. It's a big deal. Irish are going to be healthy or full rostered. I think that the Jets are going to travel well, because this is an important game for the Jets. I want the Jets to win because, like I said, the Jets just winning out and taking that first place is inevitable. So I want them to win so that my own team has a better shot of moving ahead or finishing ahead of Airdrie. Unfortunately, we don't have the tiebreak. We'll go over that when we break down the standings. So I want the Jets to win. I think the Jets are going to win. It's kind of like even if I didn't want the Jets to win, I kind of look at Grand Prairie coming down to Airdrie and almost winning that game. I mean, they were up most of the game. So if Grand Prairie can show up in Airdrie and almost win, it's hard for me to think that the Jets won't show up and win. I don't see how the Irish move the football at any consistent basis. They can't throw the ball really well. Let's see there. Josh is 36 for 60. He's only thrown 60 times in 3 games, right? That's not a lot. They like to run the ball 60%, 461 yards. 461 yards in 3 games, obviously not ideal in Canadian football. 3 touchdown passes is obviously not ideal, and 5 interceptions. So I don't see how they move the ball against Cold Lake very well. And if you can't move the ball, it's tough to win. So regardless of the home field, I do think the Jets are going to win probably like 35-8. I don't think it's going to be that close. I just don't think Airdrie can score the football. Really at all. I wouldn't be surprised if they were just shut out. They don't have a kicker, and I don't know. It's tough to run the ball against that Cold Lake team. You kind of have to pass, but it's tough to pass, and the Irish don't have a skilled passing team. So I'm going to say like 30. I'll say 30-8 would be my prediction in that one. What are your thoughts on your own game, Pack versus Edmonton?
This is one now where. We're definitely hunting for, because it's a game now for us where we're looking to go in here. We're looking to go in, compete well, move the ball, get some key stops. I do feel like these guys are gonna score. Like I was just looking at the offense, like number 80 on Edmonton. He did some great concepts in 84. Like they do have some good guys that I feel like can make plays, and we just have to outpace. We have to outpace these guys. If we let these guys get ahead, it's going to be a tough one for us to come back, because some big keys for us. Just when I look at the film and see what things that I look at, like say for example, what you guys did, Red Deer and the Jets, you guys got bodies on their linebackers, and that really helped move the run game. So that's just an obvious thing that we're trying to take advantage of and move. And if we can really hit on all cylinders, we definitely feel we can come out of this game on top. I think the score for us, I want to go 25-20. 25, yeah, I think 25-20 is pretty fair. Like, again, I know Edmonton, they're probably going to watch this, and they might say the thing like, I'm not picking our team to win. Like, that's not what I'm going to do. But I do know it's going to be a competitive game. They have a strong front seven, a very athletic front seven, and their backfield is nice. I know they have some nice DBs. Ethan, I know there's a few others too that can flow. So I think we can. As nice with Daryl, it makes it nice and easy to say, oh, we will definitely go. And I think the nice thing with Daryl too is that like no DB core, I think it's outside of the Jets, is safe. Like we've but Daryl's torched, and Soretsky have torched a lot of defensive back cores, and I know they're looking to keep that on track. And Daryl likes to pass. I always like to tease Daryl in the huddle. I'm like, hey, can we get a run here or there? Like, pass pro is cool and all, but a couple of runs would be nice. But we like to tease him with that. But no, we feel confident going to that game and ready to roll.
Yeah, I think it's. Oh, can you just mute your mic? Okay. Sorry, Mari. Thank you. I think what I'm picking the Pack to win, and there's a couple of reasons. I think Edmonton's at a weird spot. I've heard possibly that there's been some turmoil within the organization. I've heard some guys have quit the team, so it'll be interesting to see who shows up. It's not a long road trip for Edmonton, but it is a 3-hour road trip. I'd like to interrupt this podcast, folks, because I just got to go stop my cat from eating a plant that's definitely poisonous. So 1 second. Gussie. All right, we are back in the podcast. My cat is no longer eating a plant that may or may not be poisonous for him. He's a little shit. I do think that Edmonton has the one area that that you guys have to watch out for is their quarterback running the football. That's really dangerous for them. I think you guys will be all right if Skyler is back, stopping their run game, and then it just comes down to your DBs. I wouldn't say are necessarily very fast. Obviously, your corners aren't speed guys by any means, but they're both smart IQ players, and they just need to continue doing that. They can both tackle. I think that Daryl is going to do what he does. Edmonton is going to be down. I believe they'll be down number 12, Trey, their corner. I believe he got a injury. Maybe he's back. I'm not sure, but that'll be a big loss if he's not there. I'm not sure who will replace him. You can definitely attack the flats against that team, and Daryl will see that and be good at that. I think they'll probably be focusing a lot on Alex, so you're going to have other guys step up. As far as running the football, I mean, Daryl is what he is, right? I mean, let's see, he's thrown the ball 97 times this year, just looking at the stats. You guys have Nathan's run it 25 times. Soretsky's got 7 carries. Yeah, that looks about it as far as the top guys go. So Brendan has 3.
Hasn't been the strongest stat year for me running the ball. It's been the fullback life hasn't treated me well, but we're doing it for the team. But end of the day, it's I guess I've been more of a pass pro guy, which I mean it is what it is. Do for the team. But one thing I want to add in there, just looking at the stats on the pass side, like we got to give a shout out to these young bucks. Like, you know, I know we see with Daryl here with 659, but Brett with 626 and Trace, I take you're an older guy like us, older gentleman.
Trace Greco from the Cowboys,
yeah. Mitchell, he's another young guy. Like, I want to give some props to those 2 young guys there. Like, I know Dave Cuthbertson mentioned that with some young blood coming in and slinging it, and just looking at the stats here, both those guys have been, lots of attempts, lots of yards, some interceptions, so learning, but they're dicing, and props to Brett and Mitchell there.
Yeah, definitely. And Mitchell Swansburg from Cold Lake, 46 of 83, 55%. Anytime you're over 50% as a rookie quarterback coming out of high school in this league, it's really good. 544 yards is decent. 6 touchdowns, only 4 picks. I mean, you can't. There was a lot of question marks regarding him, but those are pretty good numbers. And when you look at Brett, obviously, I have a firsthand experience with him, but 97 attempts, that's the same as Daryl. 48 completions. Daryl's 51 of 97. Brett is 48 of 97. So he's right there with Daryl. Daryl's at 659. Brett's at 626. Now, caveat, Daryl has played 1 less game than Brett, but still, Brett's right there. 6 touchdowns to Daryl's 8. Brett has 7 interceptions thrown. Daryl has 6. Daryl's been sacked 4 times. Brett's been 2. So you're right. Young guys coming in and play quarterback. Quarterback's the hardest position in football, hands down. I don't think anyone should ever question that. You're trying to read a field, read a defense, find your receivers, throw a football, not get killed by people that are trying to kill you. I don't want to do it. I have an utmost respect for people, especially someone like Daryl who had his leg broken playing a couple years ago. But yeah, those young bucks, and by young bucks, that's kind of a good way to put it because one of them actually is on the Bucks, but Mitchell as well. Mitchell Swansburg there for the Fighter Jets, really good job coming to league. So that's really good for the future. And passing's been down this year, I think, compared to other years. I know for me on the Bucks, like we've run the ball 56 times or 60 times in the last 2 games. That's never happened in my life. I think when we won the championship in 2021, I don't think we ran the ball 25 times all year. That not a joke. I think we passed 95% of the time. We just did not run the football. We have now run the football 60 times in 2 games, which is just unbelievable. But we've got an O-line that's making it happen. And you know what? There's nothing that makes an O, like if you want to keep your O-line happy, keep them coming to practice, run the football, because these guys live for that stuff. Like I'm like drawing up plays to get the offensive line excited, exotic pulls and different kind of concepts from leads to traps, powers, counters, stuff like that. So getting offensive linemen involved, getting them to be more than just, every play I'm dropping back to pass pro, or I'm just driving straight forward. It's like be more creative as an offensive coordinator, allow those guys to be creative, allow them to be athletic, and you'll keep them happy. And you know what they say, a happy wife, happy life, but I'm going to say happy O-line, happy football team. I know that doesn't rhyme, but I think there's some truth behind that. So, but it is good to see that we have guys slinging the ball as well. I think you, on a personal level, Omari, and maybe Daryl's listening, I've always, and I think I said this before, I've always preferred you as a slot back. You have great hands. You run good routes. You understand where to settle into zones. I think you're kind of being misused a little bit there. So I would, if Daryl, if you're listening, maybe there's got to be someone else you can plug in for pass pro. I just, and I think you probably, you're not really a guy to make a lot of waves, but I'll just say it for you. I think you need to be doing a little bit more than pass protection in my opinion.
Yeah. It's it's like I'll do it because like we need someone there to buy Daryl time. I definitely feel when I look at my other years, I was definitely flowing from slot to tail, a little bit full, but this year's been mainly more full just with guys. So ideally I'm sure I'll have a conversation with Daryl and we'll figure a nice compromise, or I just gotta find another big guy off the street and say, hey, I need you to play a pass pro so I can go play slot and mix in with Soretsky and our other guy Zion and Tim and everyone. So, but yeah, no, it'll all work itself. If anything, I think I'm having a better defensive year, which is kind of wild. But I'm just gonna keep feeding off that. But I guess enough about me. We'll keep moving on with
that's okay. No, it was me. I brought it up. You didn't bring you up. So, yeah. So what about last game of the week? We've got Bucks heading to Grand Prairie. So I'm leaving for Grand Prairie at about 8:30 in the morning. I'm picking some dudes up and we're going to make the 6-hour trek up to Grand Prairie, play a football game, and then have a great night because Grand Prairie is always the best after game party town. The best stories I ever had, road trip stories, are in Grand Prairie every single time. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm not a big partier. I don't go out very often. I don't drink, but I do like to have some fun in Grand Prairie after the game. So I'm looking forward to that. As far as the game goes, I'm also really looking forward to the game. I'm looking forward to going to Grand Prairie and not playing on the worst grass field I've ever played on in my entire life, which is what they used to have. They now have a nice, beautiful turf field. So I'm excited for that. I'm not excited that it's supposed to be plus 30 at kickoff, especially as a guy that plays both ways, but we'll deal with that as well. I'm looking forward to seeing a full roster in Grand Prairie. It's nice to go up there and see what they can and get a good feeling of them. I think it's going to be a good game. I think Grand Prairie off the bye week is going to come out hard. I know their defense is going to come play hard. They've got some ballers on offense. They've got the leading receiver in the league right now is Tyson Mastrodimos. Sorry if I mispronounced that, Tyson. He just added me as a friend on Facebook. So if you hear me, yeah, it's official. So sorry if I mispronounced that, Tyson, but he's leading the league right now. 19 catches. This is only 3 games, by the way. 19 catches, 344 yards, 2 touchdowns, 18.1 average in 3 games. Second in the league, also in only 3 games, Alex Soretsky, 18 catches, 323, 6 touchdowns for Alex, which is insane. And then I'm third in the league right now, 18 catches, 268, 4 touchdowns. So Tyson leading the league in receiving. He's basically the only one on that team, though, that's anywhere on that list. So that's clearly kind of similar to you guys. Kind of have one guy that's making a lot of plays. With us on the Bucks, I'm third in the league, 18 for 268, but Xavier's fourth in the league, right behind me, 21 catches, 263, and he actually missed a game. So the Bucks have 2 of the top 4, 2 of the top 4. And then you guys have the 7 too, but yeah, no other Cowboys guy until 10th, and he's got 7 for 100. So kind of a one-man show. So we'll be kind of ready for that. They like to run a lot of quads and screens and stuff. Screen goes. We'll be ready for that as well. Quarterback Trace is he can get the ball out. He can run as well. I'm most impressed with their defense. I think when we played them last year, Omari, it was my first game with the Wolfpack, and I just remember leaving that game like, man, those guys, even though we beat them 30-0, those guys balled out hard. They played physical. I think they're going to be even more so this year. With the physicality and the way they play the game. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to hopefully a good game. Hopefully it's well reffed. Hopefully it's clean, which I think it will be. Hopefully the film is a little bit better. They need to get a little bit higher on the film. If you're listening, whoever does the film in GP, it was a little low in your first game against Cold Lake. Hopefully that's a little higher. But yeah, I think obviously we're going to win. I'll always pick my team. I think it probably will be decently close. I'm going to say Bucks win 28-17. I'm not sure if the Grand Prix has a kicker. I always pick like teams kicking field goals, but no one ever has a kicker. So I'm just going to go with it though. 24-17 Bucks. What are your thoughts?
That's gonna be a good game too. Again, very close. I know those guys are gonna be hungry for a win. Like you said, like last year, like coming off that feeling, like hey, these guys are physical. Don't just think that like them coming out again. They were away when we played them, so these guys are now gonna be to where they're gonna wake up in their own bed. They're gonna wake up, get their own breakfast, and just be hungry for that game. That's one thing where I'm sure they're very excited to go and have an attempt to win. And I'm sure, and this is something now too, where I mentioned before, the away roster and home roster are gonna like. I don't know what you guys are gonna travel up with for the Bucks, but
light.
It's that idea now. Pardon?
pretty light compared to our normal games. Yeah, I think we've only got 24 going up.
Yeah, which I mean, it's tough. End of the day, like 12 guys, best 12 on the field. They're the ones that's gonna make it happen. But you want to hopefully guys are well conditioned, well hydrated, because that's going to be a hot one. That reminds me of the Edmonton game last year against the Elite. That was a hot one, but
so it was hot.
It's going to be it's going to be something too now where a team that goes in and manages, I guess, your roster most effectively. And I think with that too, field positioning is going to be a big part because there might be some calls where you say, hey, do we opt to punt here, or do we take it from the 35, or field goal, take from the 35 and save guys 40-yard sprint down the field if you ever come into a field goal situation. Just those like choices there where you're like, we're going to save energy here and all that. And it's tough to do that with football because our game requires 100% of the time. But it is something too now where it'd be interesting to see. So if I'll say I'm going to put it this way because I always feel it's tough to put a team ahead, but I want to say it's going to be decided by 8 points. It's going to be decided by 8 points. Whichever team takes the 8 points, we'll see. But someone's going up.
Wow, what a cop out. Okay. All right. So he's not predicting who's going to win, but he's just predicting the game will be an 8 point. So you're just setting the spread. So the spread is 8. Okay. There's no, you pick out. You know what? That's what we should do next year. We should like create our own like betting league, and we'll set lines for AFL games, and we'll take money, and we'll take like a huge rake off of it to fund the podcast. But we'll it's a completely illegal gambling. So please no one talk about this or tell anyone, but we'll start setting lines, over unders and lines for AFL games, minimum bets of like $30. So we make it juicy. That could be interesting. We'll think about that. Setting lines for AFL games.
I know. Side note, my brother was telling me about how there's like this app that you could bet on U Sport games, and I was like, really? Because I know U Sport's I guess it's not professional, but it's just like the college level.
Yeah,
man, if they brought that to AFL junior, I'm like, what other juices would you bring in?
You would get, man. If they did that to the AFL, you would literally get dudes throwing games. You would get dudes that would bet against their own team and put a shitload of money and just throw the game. Like you would get dudes doing that 100%. It would be like they just busted a bunch of dudes in the NFL for betting on their own games, right? Like you imagine the AFL, like there's no rules that govern any of that. We'd have guys just throwing games. You'd have like a guy would start running and just run backwards into his own end zone and then, run away with his 10 grand. He'd bet 10 grand on something stupid. You know what I mean? Just opening it up, but I think it'd be interesting. At least setting lines and getting guys to bet on it just for fun would be kind of cool to see kind of what it'd be look like. Yeah. Cool. So yeah, that's this week's games. I'm looking forward to a full slate of games this week. I am looking forward personally to the road trip. I like road trips. I like driving up with guys and spending that time together and kind of that calm before the storm that the drive begins. It's like always, I'm like, oh wow, I'm driving, but I'm 6 hours away from Grand Prairie. I'm 9 hours away from a game, and it feels like it's forever away, but it's like something to look forward to. I don't know. I enjoy it, so I'm looking forward to that. Before we end the podcast, go ahead, Omar.
Yeah, one question: are you guys driving or busing out?
Yeah, so we're gonna carpool. Personally, like myself, I think I've said this before on the podcast, but I used to take buses, and then the Humboldt thing happened, and I haven't taken a bus since. I realized that putting my life in the hands and look, I hope no one takes offense to this. Someone probably will, but I find like if you ever look at bus drivers, they're not the youngest of people. These are usually like retired dudes or like dudes that are probably closer to having a heart attack while driving than I am. So when I'm putting my life in the hands of like one random old dude and just hoping that he makes it for an 8-hour bus drive, I just started having mad anxiety over that and just started driving myself. So I just started driving myself anyways. And then I kind of started slowly encouraging other guys to do the same so that the team would then give me gas cards so I wouldn't have to pay gas to go up for myself. Because I'm like, well, if they don't pay for the bus, they'll pay for gas cards. So now this year, finally, I kind of just said it. I'm like, we should all just carpool and not take a bus. And then everyone kind of like got on board, and then the team is giving us gas cards. So we got a bunch of guys carpooling, and the team is giving every driver a gas card, which would be nice to cover the trip up there. So yeah, driving, carpooling, that's the way I like it. So
you want to explain the gas card? Because I think that's something that's a, I guess every team operates differently, but if you're free to share that just on like, hopefully teams can take that as an operational idea.
It's way cheaper than the bus. Yeah, well, it's way cheaper than the bus if you think about it, right? Because so a bus up to Grand Prairie is about $2,000 for the bus, and then you got to pay for the bus driver's hotel. You got to pay for the bus driver's time. So like, I don't exactly know, but it's probably close to $3,000 for a bus trip. Whereas if you just get 10 cars and each car takes 3 to 4 guys, like we only have 25 guys. Like what's the point of paying $3,000 for a bus for 24 guys, right? All you need is like 5 or 6 cars, and you give everyone $150. $150 covers the trip there and back from Grand Prairie. And so now instead of the team spending $3,000 on a bus, the team spends, $1,000 on gas cards, right? You're saving $2,000 just giving, 5 or 6 people, 7 people, whatever. Even if you give 10 people gas cards of $150, that's $1,500. You're still saving a bunch of money on a bus and paying a bus driver. So I think that's the way to go if you're looking at like saving money. I know some guys like taking the bus. It's it's maybe a little more comfortable. I would actually argue it's not more comfortable because those buses aren't like super comfortable. But some guys like the camaraderie, all that stuff. But as far as finances go, yeah, team just gave everyone a $150 gas card and save money.
That's interesting. And again, hopefully, I think that's something more for the operational side of our teams to hear. But I know there's some teams that are depending on teams' financial situations, could be better, could be worse. It's a good idea to account for.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, before we end, we'll quickly go over some. We'll start with some key stats, and we'll go over some standings and playoff implications. So we kind of talked about it a little bit, but and I'll do the offense here, and then you can do the defense there, Omari. But leading the league in passing, Daryl Leeson, 51-97, 659 yards, 8 touchdowns, 6 picks. Second, Brett Bilsma on the Bucks, 48-97, 626 yards, 6 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Trace from Grand Prairie is third. Mitchell Swansburg from Cold Lake is fourth. Josh is fifth. Phillips from Edmonton is sixth. And rushing, I'm going to pronounce your name wrong, but Edward Winati from the Jets, 55 carries, 600 yards, 11 yards per carry, 4 touchdowns. Gavin Halverson, and again, this is in 2 games for Gavin because we didn't even run with him in the first 2. But in 2 games, Gavin is second in the league, 58 carries, 413 yards. That's over 200 yards a game for Gavin right now in the 2 games he's played running back. 7 yards a carry, 4 touchdowns. That's 2 a game. He actually had 3 last game, but 2 average. Tony Morelli for the Bucks is third. So the Bucks have, not only did the Bucks have the 2 of the top 4 receivers, but we have 2 of the top 3 running backs, which is pretty cool. So really balanced offense on the Bucks. Tony Morelli, 39 carries, 226 yards, 4 touchdowns. Quarterback for Airdrie is the 4th leading rusher in the league. This is a problem for Airdrie. Your quarterback cannot be the 4th leading rusher in the league. It's not a good thing. That it looks cool for him. It's not a good thing for your team. Your guy in the Wolfpack is 5th, 25 carries, 159 yards. Receiving, I kind of went over it a little bit. Tyson from Grand Prairie, 19 for 344. Soretsky is second, 18 for 323, 6 touchdowns. I'm third, 18, 268, 4 touchdowns. Xavier, 21 catches, 263, 1 touchdown. Sagan playing our old teammate from the Wolfpack, playing receiver this year for the Irish, is 5th in the league, 13 catches, 212 yards. Good for Sagan. He was a really good corner last year.
Yeah, he's nice.
Yeah, he's doing some stuff at receiver. Good for him. Scoring, Soretsky leads the league in scoring, 42 points. I'm second in the league in scoring, 38 points. Ideen, the kicker for Cold Lake, 28 points. That's mostly converts, 14 converts, 4 field goals. And running back for Jets and Gavin for the Bucks, 26 and 24 points, respectively. Take over some defensive stats, Amari.
Yeah, I want to first preface if I botched your name. Apologies. I'll try my best here.
Yeah.
On the sack side, we have top two are the Jets, Tremaine Stephan, Sam Kanalski, 2.5 with number 1, number 2 with 2, Bucks, David Simmons, linebacker with 2, Fighter Jets, Arnold Membape. I definitely botched that. I apologize on that. I definitely botched that. DN, 1.5 sacks. We have a bunch of Wolfpack players. Bryce with 1.5, Skyler 1.5, Kalen with 1. So it's awesome to see some good chunk there. And then for the top 10 on the sacks, elite Shaq Lawson, linebacker with 1. On to fumbles. It goes a lot of I guess it varies because there's forced fumbles because each one carries different. Forced fumbles, fumble returns. The top 3, we're in the sheet because it just says 1, but no yards or anything like that. But just know for this, there's a good handful of players. There's a good handful. There's 28. I'll put it this: there's 28 players with a fumble and a fumble recovery, just because it's weird how it breaks down there. Interceptions. This is going to be a nice one. Top 2 Fighter Jets. We got Gabe and Joshman. I apologize again.
That's a crazy name, yeah. Joshim.
Yeah, I apologize again. Just Deanna, let me know so I can correct it for next time. He's got 4 for 73 return yards. I'm sure he loves that. That's probably won a game.
That's Gabe. Yeah, Gabe's got 4. Yeah, Joshim's got 2. Yeah.
Joshim. Okay, there we go. Yeah. There we go. My thing. With Joshim with 2, Corby with 2 from the Cowboys, Brett with 2 from the Bucks.
Let me just quickly jump in there too. I know he's listening, so quick shout out Brett Mercier, 2 picks this year, tied for second in the league. Brett is a running back that never played defense before, as far as I know, and we just kind of threw him at halfback this year, beside me as my strong side halfback, and because he's really athletic, and he's done an incredible job there with me. And I'm really picky with my halfbacks, but I've really trusted him, and we're kind of creating a really good kind of dynamic duo over there, and I think teams are going to be hard pressed to find a lot on the strong side of the field against the Bucks. So good for Brett. Little shout out for him. I know you're listening, buddy.
Nice. We have Brandon, Cowboys D with 2. A lot of players with 2. Yeah, all these guys here have 2. Jamal from Irish, Sam from Irish, Alex Soretsky from Wolfpack, Riley Collins from Bucks, Daniel from Jets, Ty Bissett here from Irish. So a lot of guys have 2, and like that takes it to number 13 there. As it goes for tackles, so we scroll at the top here. I'll do top 10. Fighter Jets, Conrad with 19.5. Tremaine with 18. That's the D tackle. So he's number 9, right?
97.
97. Yeah, he's from Ottawa GG's, correct?
Yeah, he's nuts. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. See, he's great athlete. Like he's like someone who's fresh from I think
14 solo tackles from the D tackle position. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, nuts. He's our league's Aaron Donald right there.
Yeah, stop running at that guy. Number 97. Don't run at him.
Yeah, run away from him. Next 2 from the Bucks, David and Travis. David with 18, Travis with 17.5. Wolfpack, Caleb Stone. This is easy. I want to give a quick shout out to Caleb Stone here because this guy hasn't put in the work. He's someone here goes to school, takes care of his schooling side of things. Wants to look at other opportunities. He's in the gym, pushing weights, growing himself. I know he's someone of a smaller frame, but that frame doesn't shy away from contact. That's something to where he has some tackles on number 25, and on your end, for you the Bucks, and number 25 is a beast. And Caleb was no fear. Hey, put his shoulder down, made some form tackles. That was after like 30 yards, but it was always up to Caleb to, make those plays there. 15 solo, which I believe that's the top solo tackles in the league. So Caleb, just so you know, you have the most solo tackles there in the league for 17. Total tackles, elite Zach Brooks with 15.5, Skyler with 14.5, elite Trey Gregna with 14.5. So a lot of strong tackles all over, and the list goes down from that. A lot of tackles, knockdowns. It's funny. I'm always looking at this. I'm quite high, even though on the offense. But anyways, we'll go for the top 5 just to save time here for everybody. Fighter Jets, Blake 7. Cowboys, Chad Weeb 7. All these guys here have 7. Bucks, Riley from the Bucks. Isaiah from Cowboys. Teague, yourself 7. So I'm sure it's nice to see yourself on the board there.
Well, 4 of them. Hey, I got to say this too. 4 of them came last week against you guys. So it's like one of those things where I've got 7, but like 4 came in one game. I was just happy. Daryl doesn't shy away. I don't get a lot of, for the last probably 8 years, I don't get a lot of targets over to my side, but Daryl doesn't give a fuck. So he challenged me a lot, and thankfully I was up to the challenge. But yeah, it's nice. It's definitely nice. I like knockdowns. Like knockdowns are a cool stat. It means your coverage is good, your drive on the ball is good, and you're making good plays. So yeah, I do like that one.
Yeah, that's huge. I'll finish up here with the 5. So Stresky with 5, Connor Langford with 5 from the Bucks, Trey Gregna with 5. So awesome stats there. I think the rest of it is just block kicks, and we have 2. Teague Sherman and Ethan Nicholas, both with 1 on the punt side of things. And I believe that is about it. Should we give the kicker some love?
Give the kickers some love. Absolutely.
Yeah. For the brand. Pat McAfee, if you're listening to this, we're all for the brand.
Yeah. Hey, Pat, we'd love to come on your podcast.
Yeah. That'd be absolutely sick.
Yeah.
For this one now, I'm just going to name each one because I feel like there's to be a puncher per team, but I'll just go each one. How does it go here now? So
I think it's just...
I'll just go by points. So Adim with 28 points. Elite by, I'm botching name, Zombar.
These names are crazy. This name is spelled ZSOMBOR, and I feel like the Z might be silent. It's just like Sombar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Something like that.
15. Teach with 14. Isaiah with 5. Andrew Fabian with 5. Brian Kennedy with 4. Joe with 2. And then on the last one for the punting side here, Elite David with 846 yards of puntage. Yeah, I'll call it puntage. I'll just call it puntage.
Puntage. Punt yards, yeah.
677 yards. Brian Kennedy with 600. Adim with 472. Corby with 463. Fabian with 222. That was a 1 game too. Chisholm with, again, 1 game too. 215. Teague. He kicks too? I need to watch the film when he kicks.
Well, he's got 3. Teague's leading the league right now in average punts, 3 for 132. If you want to go by like the guy who's actually had enough kicks average wise, you're looking at the best average being the Irish punter, Brian Kennedy, 15 punts, 40-yard average. But there's, David Ness for Edmonton. David Ness is probably the best punter in the league, in my opinion, just having watched him play. 23 punts, 36.8 average. And that's pretty good.
Yeah, all these are great punts here. Stresky with 117, Cowboys 106, Caden. Top returners, I'll just do top 2. Top 3, because I know we got to cut our time here just because I want to keep everyone on track. Kickoff returns, Cowboys Tyson with 116, Cowboys Cam Miller 114, Bucks Brett Mercier with 88. Austin C there, guys. And then on the punt return side, from the Jets, Shea, 75, and Daniel with 122. Brett Mercier showing up again with 63 yards on the punt return. So awesome work there to see, guys. It's quite a close game, and I think next episode we should probably talk about how it's going to work on the All-Star voting.
Yeah, we're gonna do that because the league will fuck it up. the league's all-star choices and award choices will be terrible. They always are. And now, hey, I hope to prove me wrong, but here's what I'm going to do and what we're going to do on the podcast. We will come up with our own all-star selection and award selection based on actual facts and data. Now, Omari and I are, some of the two guys that watch all the games. We pay attention to this stuff, so we'll have a good idea. I'm actually, once all the stats are done, I'm going to break everything down into fantasy points. So I'm going to take all the stats and I'm going to use PPR settings both on offense and I'm going to do defense. And we're going to do it like DraftKings does their, if anyone plays DraftKings fantasy football, daily fantasy football, and I'm going to break it all down and then see who has the most fantasy points at the end of the year and then go from there to kind of eliminate guys and who should actually be. Because what we end up happening every year is like there'll be a guy that played one game. Last year, there was an all-star. I think it was Nick Doubledy from Edmonton. He was voted an all-star. He had 3 catches for like 40 yards or something just ridiculous. It was like he was like 18th in the league in receiving and somehow was an all-star. It was a joke. So AFL Uncensored will be taking care of that this year, and we will do it before the league does it, and then we'll see what the league comes out after that. But we will have our own AFL Uncensored all-stars and awards. Yeah, so those are the stats. We will update you those weekly. I'm in touch with the guy who keeps all those, even though they are not posted anywhere that you can find. I have them. We have them. We will keep you updated.
One thing I might do.
Yeah, go ahead.
I might do is like, if we can get permission, I guess, to make this public, I might put the link on our Instagram just so that guys can go to our Instagram and see the ads there or see the links, see the stats there.
You can do that for sure. Yeah, Kevin's the guy who runs it. He would have no problem with that for sure. Go ahead and do that. That's a good idea.
Yeah. I'll figure out a way to try and work that out. Again, I'll have to add that in my day, but I think it'd be kind of cool for us to try and figure out a way to host the stats there for everybody.
That's sweet. That's a good idea. AFL Censored got you guys covered, even when the league doesn't. Okay, so last thing I want to touch on quickly is just current standings, playoff implications. So right now, first place Jets 4-0. They've pretty much locked that up regardless. They could lose their last 2 and they'd still finish first due to tie breaks. That's actually not true. The Bucks could still finish first. If the Bucks went out and beat the Jets, there could be a possibility the Bucks finish first. Irish are second, 2-1. Bucks are third, 2-2. Elite 1-2. Pack 1-2. Cowboys 0-3. Reminder: all teams make the playoffs. Top 2 seeds get buys into the semifinal. So 1 and 2 get buys into the semi. In the quarterfinals, third place plays 6th. Fourth place plays 5th place. Right now, it's looking like Jets will get the first seed and host the semifinal. The really interesting thing now becomes the battle for second. Now, right now, the Irish are 2-1, the Bucks are 2-2, and the Elite are 1-2. However, the Bucks unfortunately lost to the Irish and don't have the tiebreak there. And even though we beat the Elite beat us by 5, and we only beat them by 1. So the Elite win the tiebreak against the Bucks as well. So the Bucks are in kind of a tough spot where we would have to finish with a better record or more wins than the Elite or Irish to jump ahead. So we would have to win out to come second or first. We would have to beat GP and then beat the Jets. More realistically, we could finish 3-3 and get that third seed. Ideally, the third seed is going to be pretty golden because if you're the third seed, you avoid playing the Jets in the semifinal. And obviously, as we've said before, any team can beat besides the Jets, all the other teams can beat any other team any given day. So that third seed, from my perspective, for the Bucks is what we're really trying to eye. So in order for that to happen, we need to finish with a better record than either the Irish or the Elite. So we need those 2 teams to lose. I'm really cheering for you guys tomorrow because if you beat the Elite, that really helps us. And it also helps you because if you can beat the Elite tomorrow, you could actually jump up to the 4 spot and actually host that playoff game against the Elite instead of having to travel. So that's a huge game for you guys as far as playoff implications. You'll have a tough time now that you lost to us to basically finish above that. But there are scenarios where you could beat the Elite and Irish and find a way to jump up there as well. So the Cowboys are pretty much entrenched in 6th. The Pack are pretty much 4th, 5th right now. It's tough for you guys to jump much higher than that. The Bucks could go as high as 1st, but they would need to win out and then have the Jets lose another game. More realistically, Bucks are really aiming for third. So that's kind of how that's looking down. There's if you're being like common sense, probably Jets come first, one of the Irish and Elite come second, and then one of the Irish and Elite come third. And then you'll have Bucks and Pack playing in the first round, and either the Elite or the Irish hosting the Cowboys in the first round. But again, anything can happen. But that's kind of the scenario of the standings as I sit today.
Place your bets.
Place your bets, exactly. We'll set the line. Yeah, what's the odds of that's actually interesting. Yeah, it's a Bucks to come first right now, because the Bucks have a chance to come first, but it would be like you'd basically be like plus 10,000 on that, like 100 to 1. And I'd put $10 on that, right? Like put $10 on the Bucks at plus 10,000 to come first in the standings. Is then that's actually, you can get some good money if that happened. All you got to do is win twice and have the Jets lose one of those games. But yeah, place your bets. It should be exciting tomorrow. I'm kind of glad that the Irish Jets game's at 2:00, because I'll be rolling into Grand Prairie around 3, and I'll just quickly. Hopefully it's gonna be live streamed. But hopefully it is, like, can throw it on.
Yeah. So on the live streaming side, I know for Curtis, he's the one who's been doing all the live stream for Cold Lake. I believe he's coming down. After actually, I'll DM him here just to see if he's going down, like if I can help him set up or anything like that. But if he's coming down, hopefully he brings the cameras and set it up, and go from there, which would be nice, because that'd be nice to have it live streamed. And then if as well, I know I have my gear to live stream our game, like my camera and the gimbal. But if he's able to stay and live stream the second one, that'd be clutch, because I'm sure everyone would love to watch that for like an AFL day. But I want to say yes, they'll be live streamed on the account of where the Wolfpack and the Cold Lake will do what we can to provide our fans with live stream.
Awesome. All right, Amari. Well, good luck tomorrow. I hope you guys kick Edmonton's ass. I know Edmonton's hate listening to this podcast again, as always. So I'm openly cheering against Edmonton. I hope you guys win. I hope everyone stays safe out there tomorrow. Wishing safe trips to all my teammates who are driving up tomorrow, including myself and the guys in my car, and everyone else driving up, that we make it safe. We have a safe night. We have a fun night. We make it back safe Sunday. I'm trying to get in a bonus podcast, either recording Sunday or Monday. Omari, I'll hit you up on this, with Travis Levitsky and Danny Warwick, two of our sponsors, to get them on here and talk about some things. Both guys have been part of the league, and I'm sure everyone would love to hear Travis Levitsky on a podcast. So I know that'll be good. So we will definitely be back next week to preview this week, or to go over this week and preview next week, but hopefully a bonus episode in between. Omari, if you got anything else, if not, send us out.
Yeah, that's it from me. It's crazy. We're at the halfway point already. It's awesome that we get another league bye, and I think some teams get their second bye in the second half of the season. So it's awesome. It's awesome to see you there. Take care of yourselves. Hope you guys are hydrating. You can find all of our podcasts here on Apple Music, Spotify, Google Podcast. I am still behind on the YouTube stuff. Having a kid really helps my capacity there, and I haven't had a chance to do that, but that'll all be done there soon. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Take care of yourselves. Looking forward to the game here and everything. And hey, let's go out, have some fun. We all get to play football, and find some gratitude there, and have it count as a blessing.
Awesome, Amar. Thank you, and place your bets. See y'all later.